Good morning, I'm Harley Schlanger from the LaRouche organization with your daily video update for March 3rd, 2025. Well, last week I reported to you under the theme, the British are coming, the British are coming. And they did come. And putting himself forward for the rescue was Sir Keir Starmer as the leader of the coalition for the war, what he called the coalition of the willing. Maybe he forgot that was George W. Bush's slogan for the fight in Iraq in the early 2000s. Well, the whole object of Starmer's visit was to rescue the special relationship, this agreement tying U.S. intelligence to British intelligence and the adoption of the common aims of maintaining a unipolar order to suppress any nation which tries to step outside of the bubble of Anglo-American control. Now, the goal of the special relationship today is to use the Ukraine war to weaken Russia and to use the war in Southwest Asia to break apart the BRICS, to target the BRICS countries in Southwest Asia and Africa, which include the United Arab Emirates, Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt, and other prospective members, as well as Russia and China. Now, the commentary in the British press was very clear that Starmer's mission was to protect the special relationship. But does anybody find it ironic that the least popular leaders of governments in the world are the ones promoting the war against Russia? Starmer and Macron took the lead. The real issue for Trump was stated in his confrontation with Zelenskyy. He said to Zelenskyy, "You are gambling with World War III. Your opposition to my collaboration with Russia and Putin is going to lead us to a possible nuclear war." Now, remember, before Trump was in, Biden, who was a protege of Zbigniew Brzezinski, who was an advocate of British geopolitics, Biden was willing to take that risk. But for Europe, they need the United States, the idea that they can do this on their own, which they're talking about now. And of course, that's why the meeting in London on Sunday didn't go anywhere, because the options they have fall short of their ability to confront Russia. And the fact is that Ukraine has lost this war. Now, President Trump is saying the United States will not play this game. There must be a negotiated settlement that addresses the mutual security concerns, the legitimate mutual security concerns of both Ukraine and Russia. Zelenskyy is saying, no, Putin has to go. Putin is a threat not just to Ukraine, but to all of Europe. Now, the problem for the Brits is that Europe depends on the United States for its security. The British nuclear capability is integrated with the United States. They lease the Trident II D5 missiles from the United States. They need the United States for maintenance and repair. And the idea that they can somehow provide with the French a nuclear umbrella to protect Western Europe is not taken seriously by most military strategists. Now, there's a second problem here. Who's going to pay for this military buildup in Europe? The United Kingdom itself is pretty much bankrupt. Starmer is pledging billions of pounds to defend Ukraine in a lost war. While the poverty level in the United Kingdom is rising at a rapid rate, there are now 12 million people as of 2023 in the United Kingdom who are poor, 18%. And rising. 25% of children in the United Kingdom are growing up in homes that are poor. Remember, in the 19th century, the famous period of Charles Dickens' novels, 25% of the population of England was under poverty. Now it's approaching that level. Here we are, in the 21st century. And we're seeing a return to levels of poverty not seen since the 19th century. Starmer is the last gasp of a dying empire. So the solution is more war? Well, Macron is at 23%. 75%, according to the latest Politico EU poll, oppose the Macron government, disapprove of his government. In Germany, the incoming Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, is proposing 400 billion euros in German defense spending. And this is with the collapse of industry, the collapse of infrastructure. And Merz is going in with just over 28% popularity going in. If he goes with the austerity, which will remind people of the Schachtian austerity policy under Hitler, that is, spending for military and not for food, his popularity will go nowhere but into the toilet. Now, the Trump policy was spelled out by the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, in an appearance on Fox News on Sunday. And what she said is that Trump is committed to ending the bloody war. That's his priority. While Zelenskyy is risking, as Trump said, World War III. So Gabbard said there's a divergence with Trump and the American people on one side and Zelenskyy and European leaders, and these are mostly leaders of Western Europe and Scandinavia and the Baltic countries, on the other. Most of the rest of the world is looking for peace. Now, what Gabbard continued to say, that if the war continues, even without an escalation to World War III, more and more of Ukraine will be decimated and destroyed. To what end, she asked. Now, this is very much reminiscent of a forecast made by Lyndon LaRouche in June of 2009 in a webcast. And here's what he said about the problem with Europe. He said, quote, "Europe has no power, Western and Central Europe, no power whatsoever. They lost their sovereignty to the British Empire," unquote. And LaRouche went on to point out that the leaders of this loss of sovereignty, who were the key people pushing for the European Union, were Margaret Thatcher in Britain and then Francois Mitterrand of France. And that the policies today are a continuation of the efforts by the Western leaders to punish Russia at the end of the Cold War instead of holding out a hand to cooperate and collaborate with them. LaRouche went on to say that under the European Union, nations of Europe cannot create their own currencies. They have no ability to generate national credit. And under the European Union today, they're spending the money on war they cannot win. And then they're attacking Trump, blaming Trump and Putin for their problems, which is exactly what J.D. Vance said, to the shock of many European leaders in his speech last month at the Munich Security Conference. So we're facing a situation where there's a clear divergence of interests. Not really of interest, because it's in the interest of these European nations to work with the United States to reach an agreement with Russia of mutual security, and then to proceed toward an economic agreement in which Europe will participate in parallel and in cooperation with the new Eurasian perspective, which has come into existence in the last decade or so, with Russia and China at the forefront. That's the future for Europe. Otherwise, Europe is heading into a deindustrialized crisis, without jobs, without income, but with war. Precisely what characterizes the end of an empire. I'm linking in the description section the discussion from the Zoom call on last Friday of the International Peace Coalition, which I think you'll find fascinating in terms of the prospects for peace in the Middle East. There's a summit tomorrow in Egypt, which will bring together the leading Arab governments to talk about what could be done to rebuild Gaza into a prosperous home for the Palestinian population, as opposed to continuation of ethnic cleansing and genocide against them, which is what the British puppet Israel and Netanyahu are committed to. I also will be appending a link to LaRouche's June webcast that I referred to, where he talks about how Europe went into a self-destructive mode under the influence of Thatcher and Mitterrand. The real issue is for you to join us in the fight for a new paradigm, a new security and economic development architecture, which takes into consideration the needs of all peoples of all sovereign nations. That's the direction to go in, not useless, wasteful war. So thanks for joining me today. Be sure to be back tomorrow. Share this video, like this video, and take advantage of the links I've presented for you.